So we've accepted the fact that we're going to need a real estate agent, and we're probably not going to have one that's good. We may, and if you get a good real estate agent, keep their name for the rest of your life, refer them business, talk them up. If you ever need someone again, go back to them. I have in my adult life bought and sold, well, I've bought 7 properties and I've sold 6. And in all of that time, because they were in different locations, I used multiple different agents. I've had one that was really good as a seller, and I've had one that was really good as a buyer. And to be blunt, everybody else sucked. They absolutely sucked. So just accept that you're probably going to get one that sucks. So be careful who you sign a contract with. I recommend you interview 3 or 4 and find someone that at least seems like they're going to be 60% acceptable. And then you do the other 40% of the work. And it sucks that they're going to make money off of it, but oh well. And also understand what you're buying is going to determine how hard someone's going to work for you. These people work on commission, do have some respect and understanding of that. And if you're looking to buy a raw piece of land for $40,000, there's not much money in it for a real estate agent. And that's where you're going to have to probably get out there and do almost all the legwork yourself, and you probably don't even want an agent. But if you're going to spend $100,000 and up on a property, which is easy to do, especially where you're going to get conventional financing, you are qualified, they know you're qualified, they know if they find the right property, you're going to buy it, then you should expect them to pull at least some of their weight. But be ready to pull some of the weight yourself, because you're going to have to. Again, 90% of the time. Those of you that are good, don't get in my shit. I understand, and you know what I'm talking about if you're one of the good ones. So the next is, and I've alluded to this up till now, there's a unique challenge when you're in this situation. Generally speaking, when you're looking to buy a bug out location or a vacation property, you're not married to like a zip code. You're not married to like a city. You're like, I want to be in this area, and it could be a pretty big area. Example, when we bought this property, even though I want a bug out location, what my wife wanted was to be within an hour and a half, or her dad was, because he was beginning to have issues with Alzheimer's, and she wanted to be able to take care of him, see her son, and everything else. Okay, great, fine. So what we did is we made a mark where they lived, and then said, what's 90 minutes out from here? And some of it was unusable because 90 minutes out was more city, too much city for me, and some of it was really rural and impossible and didn't work for a variety of reasons. Again, because we had to run a business, internet access was a big limitation for us. Found a lot of properties that were in our price range, really worked, but that was a deal killer. But we eventually found something that did work within that range. You'd think that's an advantage. On some levels it is, because you're very flexible. You're very flexible, and you can say, I'm not married to this area, this zip code, this school district, etc. So if there's a better deal over here, well, hell, I'll go over there. I don't have, a brother I'm trying to buy a house next door to, or a school I'm trying to get my kids into. I just want this to work for me. But the problem is, okay, so when I bought one of my properties that we bought like right in the traditional suburbs, a place I had in Mansfield myself, we had 2 or 3 zip codes, and we could go look at 10 houses in 2.5 hours, 3 hours, and get a feel for what was there really, really quick, and start narrowing things down and find a property we wanted to move on. It was easy. When we were looking at properties and we were spending all day to look at 3, and 2 of them I should have never even saw because my agent wasn't doing her job, well, that wore us out. It took us 8 months to find the property we're in now. And you should have that kind of time horizon with your bug out location. Don't get excited, because that flexibility is good in the end, but it makes shopping more difficult. It's like running to 20 different stores that are 20 miles apart as opposed to going to one store next to another store next to another store and price shopping. Okay? That's how you have to think about it. So it's a unique challenge. So now what I want to move into, I think, is the most important thing that I can give you. And I've given you tidbits of it up till now, but it's the buyer's mindset. Eventually, you will find a property that you want to make an offer on. And when you get into that mode, I don't care how nice you are. I don't care how much you care about other people. I don't care if you spend your time petting dolphins and giving flowers to orphans. You've got to go into complete business mode at the point that you get into negotiating on real estate. Because the party you're negotiating with on the other side, trust me, unless it's your dad selling you his house, you're never going to hear from them. You're never going to see from them. You're never going to have nothing to do with them ever again. And they don't give a shit about you, and you can't give a shit about them. I know that sounds horrible, but people make mistakes when they get emotional in real estate. There's places for emotion. This is not one of them. Let me say that again. This is not one of them. When you're dealing with real estate, you want to be Commander Spock, not Dr. Frickin' Spock, okay? You're working on complete methodical logic. All of the dreams, all of the happiness, all of that shit will still be there if you get through it logically. And if you can't get through it logically, you go from having something that can be a dream come true to a freaking nightmare come true. And I prefer the first one, not the second one. So we're going to stay logical, freaking Commander Spock from Star Trek, not Dr. Spock making you feel good about yourself. You got it? Next. There will always be another deal. I want you to say that to yourself every time you get attached to a property. I think this is the best deal I'll ever get. There will always be another deal. There will always be another freaking deal. You'll have agents say things you like, well, in this market, you might want to make an offer that's above full price so that we don't have to deal with a bidding war. Well, I'll make an offer above the asking price if I think the property's worth more and I think I want the property and everything else works. And I think there's actually a risk of losing the property and it ticks every box perfectly. Otherwise, there will always be another deal. Okay? I generally don't make full price offers on property. I am looking for the property that has a bunch of shit wrong with it that's no big deal. But the person selling it is in a situation where they logistically can't fix it, they don't care enough to fix it, they're not smart enough to fix it, so the property, one way or another, doesn't show well. It has immense potential, it's right there under the potential, and all the things that it needs are actually relatively easy and inexpensive to fix, but the seller, for one reason or another, can't pull it off. That property is going to languish on a market. And when you come in and you offer a fair price for the property that's under the asking price, you almost inevitably get a counteroffer. And that counteroffer is almost always below the full price offer. Another property we purchased one time, we made an offer, and I think we were about 15% under the asking price. And they said, well, we have better offers. My response was, then I suggest you take them. Oh, my real estate agent didn't want to say that. Oh, Jack, you're such an asshole sometimes. Yes, because I don't give a shit about them. And there will always be another deal. Guess what? They were full of shit. There were no better offers because in the end they came back and they hit in between at about 7% below the offering price. And at that point, I knew they were full of shit. So I stood firm and I said, no, our offer stands. We got the deal. Why? Commander Spock, not Dr. Spock. Got it? I mean, that's how you have to be. Does that mean you might not get into a situation where the person says, you know what, we do have better offers, you can piss off, and we're going to sell it to a better... Okay, fine. And what I say, there will always be another deal. The only time you get into those situations is when you really have the right property and you're doing it all on that logic equation, not on your emotional attachment to it. Again, do not care about the seller. I've had people tell me, well, they're just trying to get some extra money because they're moving to Timbuktu. I don't give a shit. That's not my problem. That's not what I'm here for. This isn't charity. This is a business deal. And that's how you have to think about real estate. And you have to do this with vision. You need to look at a property and see what it can be, but use the Excel calculator in your brain and estimate high and assume it's going to cost more and take longer than it's going to take to make it what you think it can be. Because it is going to cost more and it is going to take longer, especially when you're doing it remotely. Unless you're just full of cash and you're going to walk in and see a contractor come and go, yeah, I can do this for 50 grand. And you can just write them a check and have them do it. Well, if you can do that, fine. But I suggest you take about a month off of work and be there every day to make sure he does his freaking job. Because managing a project like that remotely is a nightmare in of itself. So we have to have that vision for what we can do, but we have to be very realistic about actually getting the implementation done and understand I've got this whole life over here. This is what's the challenge with a remote property. And, oh yeah, I just want to put a pond in over there. I can rent an excavator and do that myself. How long is it going to take? 3 days. Okay, it's going to take 6. If you've done it before, and if you know what you're doing, it's going to take 6 instead of 3. Where are you going to get an excavator at around here? You got 6 days to do it? So, can that pond ever go in there? Sure. But, I just want to put new flooring in the kitchen. I'll do it myself. How long is it going to take? Oh, a day. Okay, it's going to take 3. How much is it going to cost? $800. Okay, it's going to cost $1,500 at least. and you're going to need the time to do it, and you're going to be taking that time from somewhere else. So you're going to have to balance taking the time and doing it with paying someone to do it. And if you're paying someone to do it, then you're going to have to balance managing a remote project. And what I found with my remote property was I would pick something I knew I could do, that I could do well, and I would contract out something else that I thought somebody else could do a better job at and get done faster. And I would set up those projects to coincide, and my project would overlap the work project by 2 days on each side. So I'd take time off from work or whatever, and I'd go up for a project that's going to take the guy 5 days to do, and I'd give myself 9 days. And I'd get there 2 days in advance, and I'd start working on my thing. He'd get there, and I'd shepherd him through that project, and then I'd have 2 extra days for when he inevitably said, well, it's going to take 1 extra day. Well, then you're going to come on the weekend and finish it because I'm leaving on Sunday, and you're not going to be here without me. That's how you have to handle those things. And you have to put that into that vision about what could this property become, because those are the real world issues you're going to end up with.